Welcome back to the podcast where we explore the world of martial arts, its history, and its impact on culture today. I'm your host, Saul, and today we're taking a dive into martial arts and how it has not only evolved as a practice, but how it has also become a global business. Joining me is Logan, a martial arts enthusiast and has experience in the industry. Thanks for being here, Logan.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about martial arts and how it's grown beyond fighting styles themselves. It's become such a powerful economic force.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Martial arts from ancient traditions have now morphed into the massive industry, but it wasn't always like that, right?
Exactly. For a long time, martial arts was mostly about discipline, self-defense, and maintaining cultural traditions. Most styles like karate, jiu-jitsu, kung fu were passed down through generations, often in small community-based dojos or schools. But in the last few decades, we've seen a huge commercial shift, especially with the rise of things like UFC, MMA, and combat sports.
Right, the UFC has been a game changer over the years. How do you think its influence on the business side of martial arts has been?
It's been massive. The UFC really brought martial arts to mainstream sports and entertainment, especially in the West. Before that, martial arts was often seen as a niche. You had to be in films like Enter the Dragon or Karate Kid, or actually a practice of martial arts. It wasn't a household thing. UFC kind of changed, turning it into a spectacle, mixing different styles like BJJ and Muay Thai and wrestling. As it gained popularity, you saw an explosion of interest not only in the practice of martial arts, but also in the consuming of it as entertainment.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot more people training like random civilians instead of just like students. And the shift in popularity has created a whole economic ripple effect, right?
Exactly. We've seen a huge rise in the number of martial art gyms, academies, and schools. Not just people learning karate and taekwondo anymore, they're signing up for MMA gyms, jiu-jitsu academies, and kickboxing classes. This has driven up the demand for instructors, equipment, apparel. The whole industry is built around all of it. For example, look at the growth of brands like Venom, Hayabusa, and Century Martial Arts. These companies aren't just selling to fighters, they're selling to fans, fitness enthusiasts, and people who just want to get with the gear and wear it and support the industry.
Yeah, and speaking of gear, the prices for martial arts equipment seem to have gone up along with the sport's popularity. Do you think the market can sustain that?
It's just interesting because the demand is definitely there, but the consumer's expectations have changed, only growing over time. People are willing to pay more now for higher quality products, whether it's training equipment like gloves and pads or just apparel like functional looks and goods. But there are also a lot of competitive elements to it, so prices can vary. Big name brands can charge a premium, but there are also a lot of new, smaller companies trying to offer more affordable alternatives.
It feels like the expectations have shifted too. There's a great emphasis now on mixed martial arts and cross training rather than sticking to one traditional style. How has that impacted the industry?
That's a great point. The shift in taste has definitely impacted the way martial arts is marketed and taught. People aren't just going to a dojo to learn one art anymore. They'd rather be well-rounded fighters so that they're training in everything from boxing to Muay Thai to Jiu-Jitsu. Martial arts schools have had to adapt to a wider range of classes. To maintain the satisfaction of the people, it helps them attract more students and charge higher fees. It is no longer about the traditional martial arts. It's about fitness, self-defense, and even mindset training.
And then aside from all of that, you also have the entertainment side, like UFC pay-per-view events and martial art competitions being held through live events that you have to pay to watch. There's so much money in that now.
Absolutely. Events like UFC and One Championship have made martial arts a billion-dollar business with the fighters paying themselves and they're earning huge paychecks. But there's also a lot of revenue from sponsorships and endorsements for new fighters. Another big thing is ticket sales and merchandise that people purchase for, tokens along the way. Even traditional martial art and tournaments and seeing a resurgence of people becoming more interested than ever in competitive fighting.
Do you think this growth is sustainable? If so, will martial arts continue to rise in popularity or will this be its peak of all time?
I think martial arts has become too ingrained with global culture to just disappear. It may go through phases. A combination of entertainment, fitness, lifestyle makes it pretty resilient. But the constant evolution of styles and techniques, there's always something new to keep people engaged. And economically, as long as the demand for the competition is there, content and the training exists, the industry will continue to grow. There's a lot more room for the expansion, especially in emerging markets like Southeast Asia and South America.
It's crazy to think how far martial arts have come. From ancient self-defense techniques to a global industry that touches everything from sports to fashion.
It really is. And with the rise of digital content and streaming, we're all seeing martial arts to reach audiences that might have never had access to before. It's more than just a practice, it's really just a lifestyle, a form of entertainment, and a serious business.
Well, Logan, thanks so much for joining us today and sharing your insights on how martial arts has grown in this global phenomenon based off of your experiences.
My pleasure. So it's been a great talk about how something so ancient can have such a modern impact on today's society.
That's it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in.